Greetings, people. It's Mr. Pull the Trigger yet again on another episode of the Enlightenment series. So, this is part 5 of an investigative analysis into the matter, into the case between the Delta Commissioner of Police versus Ruth Mathew. What is our point of interest when we are analyzing the involvement of the Commissioner of Police? Because already we have issues, we have one and twos that are not adding up. We have dots that are not connecting. Dots like, how did the Commissioner of Police become the complainant? How did the Commissioner of Police become the plaintiff? In a case in which Ruth Mathew was the initial person to go and lay a charge that her child is missing. The big question is that I know the Commissioner of Police cannot answer. What did they find during their investigation that made them become the complainant, that made them turn the tables around? What did they find during their investigation that have made them take Ruth Mathew to court and accuse her of lying about the case of baby testimony? They are not really accusing her of lying about the missing child. But what they are merely saying is, you laid false allegations against Jeremiah Omoto for fame. Not only Jeremiah for fame, but around all the other people that Ruth Mathew mentioned in her testimonial. Where there is loopholes, you will easily see where there is loopholes in this whole lawsuit or in this whole prosecution that is being done by the Commissioner of Police. Because Ruth Mathew never accused Emmanuel Marcus of having stolen baby testimony. But on the charge report, on the charges that Ruth Mathew is being charged with in court, it says that Ruth Mathew, you falsely accused Emmanuel Marcus. Yet Ruth Mathew never falsely accused Emmanuel Marcus. She only mentioned Emmanuel Marcus in her testimonial, and she explicitly mentioned the role that Emmanuel Marcus played. And she never said Emmanuel Marcus is the one who abducted baby testimony. That's one of the flaws in their report that they've submitted to the court. All the other witnesses or all the other complainants that the Commissioner of Police is using to nail Ruth Mathew, Ruth Mathew never accused any of them, as the Commissioner of Police is claiming. Ruth Mathew gave a testimony, not only a testimony, she also gave an official statement when this incident took place. And I'm going to present all the statements that were given by each and every one person that Ruth Mathew involved in a statement. She just mentioned the roles that these people played, but she never accused them of being the ones who are suspects of having abducted baby testimony. But the Commissioner of Police twisted and turned this whole case around and made these people that Ruth Mathew mentioned in her testimony as witnesses, as complainants who are laying charges on Ruth Mathew. I don't know if you're feeling me. I don't know if you are catching the wind of the point that I'm trying to stress. The only person that Ruth Mathew accused is Jeremiah Omoto for fame. And she is in her legal right, legal authority to lay the blame on Jeremiah Omoto for fame for one or two reasons. Jeremiah Omoto for fame is the head of the shrine. Jeremiah Omoto for fame is the principal. There's no any other person that she can accuse other than Jeremiah Omoto for fame. He's the general overseer of these premises. So she has the right to accuse Jeremiah Omoto for fame. And Jeremiah Omoto for fame has the right to prove himself innocent, not to cry like a little baby. And how does Jeremiah Omoto prove himself innocent? How can he prove himself innocent? By releasing the CCTV footage. Not by doing damage control using bloggers, not by going to television stations asking for favors for them to run a narrative around this case of a missing child, not for them to drive a narrative that, no, you sold your child. All that Omoto has to do is to release the CCTV footage. A CCTV footage will exonerate him if he has nothing to do with this abduction syndicate. But the fact that he has concealed the CCTV footage, it's enough evidence for me, for Ruth Mathew, and for everyone that is seeking for baby testimonies justice. That proves that Jeremiah Omoto has something to hide. Jeremiah Omoto in Mercy City has something to hide. And the fact that baby testimony got abducted inside Mercy City, it's enough for us to prosecute Jeremiah Omoto for fame, or to lay charges, or to hold Jeremiah Omoto for fame and Mercy City liable. He has the legal obligation to make sure that everyone who enters that gate is safe. If I can injure myself, if I can just have a knee injury because of the infrastructure inside Mercy City, I can sue Jeremiah Omoto for fame. If a bird can land on my forehead and leave a crack here on my forehead, I can sue Jeremiah Omoto for fame. That's what is called duty of care. He's not supposed to have trees where there are pedestrians walking. Trees should be somewhere far, away from everything. So I can sue him for being negligent enough to position a tree which he knows birds can be playing around, which he knows that birds can poop on my head. I can sue him for that. The duty of care entails that Omoto for fame has to look at all the security measures. He has to observe all the security measures in his premises, because this is a public place where people come because they are coming to seek you, Jeremiah Omoto for fame. All the people that come into Mercy City, they are seeking Omoto for fame. They are looking for Jeremiah Omoto for fame because Jeremiah Omoto for fame invited them. When you see Omoto for fame doing programs, inviting people to this shrine of his, that's what makes him liable to anything, if anything should ever happen to any one of those people that come to his church. When you see Jeremiah Omoto opening TV stations and doing online programs, that's what makes him liable, because he is advertising his programs. So by virtue of these invitations that he continuously carry my Samuel. That particular day when baby testimony was abducted, they were hosting a program called Carry My Samuel, or Carry Your Samuel. And he was inviting people all over the world to come and attend this program. Sister Ruth Mathew went. She wanted to carry a Samuel. And in turn, Jeremiah Omoto's people carried baby testimony. So these programs are all invitations. So when you invite people to your shrine, you must make sure that you have all the security measures to prevent harm befalling any one of the people that are in attendance. So either way you want to look at it, Jeremiah Omoto for fame and Mercy City are liable. Even if Jeremiah Omoto for fame does not know these two women, he still is liable. Most of you might not understand law, but he will forever be liable. This happened. He's bound by the duty of care. This happened in his shrine, in his premises. So putting that aside, the main topic of the conversation was, how did the commissioner of police become the complainant in a case which involves Ruth Mathew and Jeremiah Omoto for fame? Ruth Mathew is a mother who lost a child in Mercy City and reported to the commissioner of police, to the police. And the police did their investigations. And they found what they found. And they turned the tables around. They started prosecuting Ruth Mathew for defaming Jeremiah Omoto for fame. And the question is, what did they find? What did the commissioner of police find in their investigation that makes them reach, or that made them reach the verdict, a conclusion that Ruth Mathew you are lying. So therefore, we are charging you with defamation of character. What did they find? That is the big question that we have to the Commissioner of Police. Should those reports not be made public? They should, because the Commissioner of Police has taken it upon himself to be the complainant. And the Commissioner of Police is a public servant. He's not someone private that can keep his information private and confidential. He is a public servant. He owes it to the general public to present his findings to people. To say, okay, people, in our investigation, the Commissioner of Police is the complainant, people. That's one thing you must know. That's the position he has positioned himself, to become the complainant against a mother who lost a child. The Commissioner of Police is complaining to the court that this woman was accusing Jeremiah Omoto wrongly. So for that, we are laying these charges on this woman for lying against the man of God, for lying against Jeremiah Omoto for fame. So which makes us ask the questions to say, they are legally obligated to do a press conference, the Commissioner of Police, and tell us what they found in their investigation. What did Mr. Muhammad Ali find in the investigation? Or the previous commissioner, Mr. Muhammad Inua, what did he find in their investigation that made them conclude that this woman is lying against Jeremiah Omoto for fame, or that made them realize that this woman is defaming Jeremiah Omoto for fame? What did they find in that investigation before they can even go to the court? Don't the public need to know what they found that implicates Ruth Mathew? And my question to you is, if they really found something, or if they really did an investigation, do you think they could not have arrested Ruth Mathew instead of taking her to court and bring a series of witnesses? Don't you think they could have held Ruth Mathew by the neck right now if they had done an investigation which proves that Jeremiah Omoto is innocent? They could have. But the reason why they are trying to hustle and frustrate Ruth Mathew in court is so that Ruth Mathew can just call it quits. Can just call it quits and say, no, I can't do this anymore. To just threaten, this Ruth Mathew, so that she can say, no, I can't do this. The police is after me. The police are prosecuting me with 11 charges. And what baffles me is, on the 11 charges that are being laid on Ruth Mathew, only one of the charges is from Jeremiah Omoto for fame. The rest are coming from Emmanuel Marcus, are coming from witnesses, as they call them. Idole, this mother that owns the hotel in which Ruth Mathew was renting. And how these people became complainants, we still do not know. We still do not understand. Juliet is laying a complaint to Ruth Mathew. And how Ruth Mathew accused Ruth Mathew of stealing a child, I don't remember in her testimony or in any of her statements. She never accused these people. She only gave a testimony. She only wrote a statement. And she just made mention of the individual roles that each and every one of these people played when the child was stolen, when the child was abducted. And all of a sudden, these people were turned to become complainants by the Commissioner of Police, by Jeremiah Omoto himself, because all these people, they work for Jeremiah Omoto for fame. So to further analyze this issue that I'm bringing to your attention, I want to go through a response that I get in the comments section, which was breaking down things to look at, things we should be asking or demands we should be making to the Commissioner of Police, since he calls himself the defendant in this case. So there are 4 points. I'm going to break down the comment into 4 slashes, 4 points, so that most of you can understand the points that I'm trying to make. So here's the comment that I got from, it was coming from Muyanda Paul Liboma. And he said, this case has garnered enough public interest, and it behoves the commissioner to make a statement and have a public broadcast with questions and answers session, especially since he has taken it upon himself to become the complainant. So what this brother is saying is, since the Commissioner of Police has taken it upon themselves to become the complainant in the case that does not involve them, in the case that they should be investigating, in the case that they should be looking for baby testimony. They've chosen not to look for the baby, but to prosecute the mother who is looking for the baby. So he is saying, since they have taken it upon themselves to become the complainant, they should do a press conference and answer some questions to the general public. That's point number one. Point number two, he said, he is a public servant, and hence the public needs to know his findings about when he started the investigation and what he unveiled in the process. He is saying, since he's a public servant, the public needs to know, and the public has to know what he found out in his investigations and what he unveiled during the process of this investigation of the missing child. What did the commissioner of police find that has made him start suing Ruth Mathew? What did they find? What did he find? What did he unveil ever since they started the investigation? Ever from the day Ruth Mathew went to submit a complaint, what did they find in their investigation? That's point number two. That's what he is asking to the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Muhammad Ali, together with Mr. Muhammad Inua. Then point number three, this process needed to have everyone involved or mentioned on record with their sworn statements. The investigation needs to show that the people mentioned have absolutely nothing to do with the case before they can turn around to become complainants. He said the investigation needs to show that the people mentioned have absolutely nothing to do with the case before they can turn around to become complainants. So he's saying, from the investigation that the Commissioner of Police did, he has to make sure that Emmanuel Marcus, Juliet, Idole, and another pastor, Igada, that was amongst the complainants who are laying charges against his sister Ruth Mathew. The Commissioner of Police has to establish, he has to prove it to us that these people have nothing to do with this case. They have nothing to do with this syndicate before they can become complainants. Because all these people are now complainants. How do they become complainants? The only reason why they could have become complainants is only after the commissioner has established that these people are purely innocent of this abduction syndicate. They have absolutely nothing to do with this case of baby testimony before he can allow them, before he can put them on a legal document claiming that they are complainants. For him to say that Emmanuel Marcus is a complainant, Emmanuel Marcus, the guy who stole Ruth Mathew's phone and the 72,000 and the 70,000, and you're making that man a complainant. The Commissioner of Police is compromised. Take it or leave it. That's what the brother is saying here. Is before these people become complainants, they must establish, they must provide evidence that these people actually have nothing to do with the missing child. For them to say Emmanuel Marcus has nothing to do with the missing child, it says a lot. It raises a lot of red flags. Let's go to point number 4. He went on to say, I did not hear Ruth accuse anyone of abducting her child, but rather recount what happened that fateful day and her interactions with the people now mentioned in the commissioner's dossier or charge sheet, justice for baby testimony. Here he's saying that, he never heard Ruth Mathew accusing all these other witnesses as the commissioner of police is bringing these people as witnesses or as complainants. What he's saying here is he never heard Ruth Mathew accuse these people of being responsible for abducting baby testimony. Even if you all can recall, Ruth never accused all these witnesses as being responsible for the abduction of baby testimony. She only wrote a statement and she only gave an account of what happened after baby testimony was abducted. But the commissioner of police, in his petition or in his report, he mentioned that Ruth Mathew, you are guilty for falsely accusing these people of having abducted baby testimony. The actual people that Ruth Mathew accused are the two anonymous women, of which we had a lead that Precious Lungu is one of them. And the Commissioner of Police is not bringing up that issue of the two women that actually abducted baby testimony. That Ruth Mathew actually, that Triumph actually also mentioned in his testimony that two women took baby testimony. The Commissioner of Police is not making mention of those two women because he knows the moment he mentioned those two women, there will be a reason to call for a demand for a CCTV to be revealed. Because he does not want the CCTV to be revealed. He would rather use these other witnesses as decoys to frustrate Ruth Mathew going to court now and then by bringing up witnesses which should not even be witnesses. Because the thing that you must understand about this whole legal framework, about these whole charges that Ruth Mathew is being sued in court, one thing you must understand is the Commissioner of Police says he has proof and evidence. Proof and evidence that shows that Ruth Mathew is falsely accusing Jeremiah Omoto for fame. But on this legal document, he cannot only have Jeremiah Omoto for fame. That's why he had to add other witnesses like Emmanuel Marcus, Juliet, and Pastor Igada from his church, and Joy Idole, the lady where Ruth Mathew was renting. And he has all these people as witnesses and complainants. And what he's calling evidence in his report, they are statements that were written by these witnesses. Sworn in statements, which I have. I'm going to bring you the statement of Emmanuel Marcus, which is backdated, a sworn affidavit, which is backdated back to 2019. I'll bring you a sworn statement, a report, a statement from Jeremiah Omoto for fame himself, a statement from Juliet Mathew, as they call her, the lady that is in charge of the children's section department. And I'll bring you the statement from Joy Idole, the lady from the hotel, so that we analyze their statements that they gave. And the Pastor Igada and the other pastor, Sebastian or something like that, that also gave their statements or their account of what took place, and the statements of Triumph, Ruth Mathew's son, and the statement of Emmanuel, Ruth Mathew's son, and the statement of Joy Ayo, Ruth Mathew's ex-husband, daughter. So that we analyze these statements. But the one that interests me the most is the one of Jeremiah Omoto for fame. Those are the evidences that the Commissioner of Police have. These statements that were given by his witnesses, as he calls them, who are now complainants. So in a nutshell, this is how the Commissioner of Police got to the verdict to prove that Ruth Mathew is lying. He went through the statements that were written, that were given by these witnesses. And why do we even call them witnesses? They are not even witnesses, because these are people that were just mentioned by Ruth Mathew in her statement. They are not even suspects. The only suspect there is Juliet Mathew and Emmanuel Marcus, because these are the active participants that obstructed justice, that are obstructing justice of baby testimonies release, especially Emmanuel Marcus, because Emmanuel Marcus played a very crucial role, and Juliet also played a very crucial role. The other pastors and the lady Idole from the hotel, they are very unnecessary witnesses that the Commissioner of Police just had to add to the charges so that the charges can have weight. Because Ruth Mathew never made mention of all these pastors and of the Joy Idole. She only mentioned that she stayed at this hotel with this landlord called Joy Idole, and how Joy Idole became a complainant. I don't get it. Because she never said Joy Idole stole baby testimony. But in the report, in the charges that are being laid on Ruth Mathew, the Commissioner of Police wrote it down that Ruth Mathew are being charged for falsely accusing Joy Idole of abducting your child, of having stolen your child. But she never said that. And these other two pastors from Jeremiah Omoto's church, the commissioner of police is saying, Ruth Mathew, you lied about these pastors of having stolen your child. But Ruth Mathew never mentioned these pastors to say they stole or they abducted baby testimony. So the commissioner of police, where is he getting all this? These are the evidences that the commissioner of police have against Ruth Mathew. These are the pieces of information, these statements from these people is what is constituting the evidence of the commissioner of police. Just statements. And the statements from Emmanuel Marcus and Juliet. Those are the statements that the commissioner of police is calling evidence. Do you get how this case has been manipulated? But there is actually no report which shows the investigation that was actually carried on the ground by the commissioner of police. The report that shows what the commissioner of police did after they received a complaint from Ruth Mathew of her missing child does not exist. It's not there. The only pieces of evidence the commissioner of police have right now that they are using or that they are trying to use in court are the statements, the sworn statements from these so-called witnesses. That's all his evidence that he has. So every time Ruth Mathew is going to court, they are bringing in these witnesses to come and testify against Ruth Mathew. So what kind of a case? If this case holds water, you tell me. There's no case that the commissioner of police has here. The commissioner of police has no case against Ruth Mathew. But he has to do this for Jeremiah Omoto for fame. These are all police tactics. When they are dealing with someone whom they assume to be disadvantaged or whom they assume to be lacking the financial capacity to stand against billionaire prophets like Omoto for fame. They will frustrate you. They will manipulate you. They will take you go around, all around, just so that you call it quits. This is exactly what the commissioner of police is doing. The commissioner of police has absolutely no merit, no case against Ruth Mathew because he did not do an investigation. He did not make an attempt to find out what really happened to baby testimony. He did not put Jeremiah Omoto on the stand, or he did not even investigate Jeremiah Omoto for fame to find out what really happened on this fateful day. The commissioner of police did not even bother to demand for CCTV footage from Jeremiah Omoto for fame. He did not. So what report does he have that constitute for him to lay charges on the complainant, on the initial complainant, who was Sister Ruth Mathew? That made the commissioner of police all of a sudden turn the tables and become the plaintiff on behalf of a private citizen, Jeremiah Omoto for fame, and start prosecuting Ruth Mathew. Are these dots connecting to you? Is this whole scenario adding up to you? If the commissioner of police is watching, and I know he is watching, do you even have answers to all these questions that we are asking? Of course, I know you don't. You can never have answers to this. The moment you try to answer to any of these questions, you'll be implicating yourself because you have absolutely no case. So when we tell people that what we are doing here is just groundwork, what we are exposing here is going to constitute our efforts towards finding justice for baby testimony. What we are doing here is putting pressure and showing the world that everything that needs to be done has been done in an effort to get baby testimonies justice. What we are exposing here is what these commissioners are not doing, what these commissioners should be doing but are not doing, simply because they are under the influence of a billionaire prophet. By the time we get to the finish line, when we are now reaching the stage whereby all these bodies need to be questioned, at least there should be evidence that we have tried our best to depend on the commissioners, on the Delta Police Commissioner to do his job, but he did not. We've tried our level best to call out the commissioner of police, the Delta commissioner of police, to do what he's supposed to do, but he has not. Instead, he is actually obstructing baby testimony's justice by not doing the needful, by not demanding for the CCTV footage from Omoto for fame. Why is he not demanding for the CCTV footage, which can form the foundation of his investigation? There's no investigation that he can do without the CCTV footage. But they will not demand for that CCTV footage because they know their client, Jeremiah Omoto for fame, will be thrown under the bus. So instead, they choose to prosecute this woman so that they can give Jeremiah Omoto a free exit, a soft landing. But Commissioner of Police, we are watching, my brother. We're not only watching, but do not disgrace that uniform. Do not disgrace that badge. To save and protect. Do not be found in conflict of the oath that you took to save and to protect. And for you to be handling this case is quite unjust because there's a conflict of interest. You're Jeremiah Omoto's friend. You're very close to Jeremiah Omoto for fame. What justice can come out of this? With the relationship that you already have, there's a conflict of interest. You can never save two masters. You can never save justice and save Omoto for fame. You have to choose justice or Omoto. But it looks like you're choosing Omoto. If I say we are counting on you, we are lying because we know there's nothing that is going to come from your office. There's no investigation that is going to be done from your office. This is just documentation that we're doing. So that when your time to dance to the music comes, you'll gladly dance and be sent back home packing. Simply because you want to protect a billionaire prophet. Then you realize that his billions are his. They are not yours, Commissioner. When you're sitting on fire, he will forget about you. The few millions that he throws around giving to charity organizations, all those are gimmicks. Let me not further detail this, but leave your comment in the comment section. After this broadcast, we're going to do a live program. And I want to hear your thoughts on this issue of the Commissioner of Police being the complainant in the case of baby testimony. So I hope you have understood all the previous episodes that I've done this far concerning the relationship between the Commissioner of Police and Jeremiah Omoto for fame, and the involvement of the Commissioner of Police in this case, and how the Commissioner of Police has become the defendant, the plaintiff. We'll do a live broadcast and we'll analyze everything, and I want to hear your views. I know most of you have been texting me to say, okay, let's involve an international board. Let's look at the other authority that is higher than the one that is dealt in Delta. Before we do that, we need to expose them so that they can do or try to do their job. If they fail, then we escalate it. And it's actually being escalated, but it will take you and I to work together in collaboration so that we can get the results that we're looking for. One thing I can promise you, we will get to the bottom of this. None of them is immune to the law. None of them is immune to the law, from the Commissioner of Police to Omoto himself. The point is coming when that man will not be enough to buy them out. So prepare for the live broadcast, which will happen probably tomorrow evening, 8 p.m., so that we can engage, we can share ideas, so that I can hear your feedback and also hear your contributions. With that being said, I'll check you out on the next episode of the Enlightenment series. It's Mr. Pull the Trigger. I'm out.